or presents the Ghosts of the Sargasso.
I'm Gary Butterfield.
I'm Cole Ross.
And ooh, ghosts.
It's Orb. Jinkies.
Jinkies. Not that Jinkies. The first Scooby-Doo parody of this show.
Yes.
Until they get explicit later.
Yeah, until they until they bring back a group of misfits and miscreants. In like minor characters that end up exposing one of the most major plot points.
Yeah. Mystery teens.
Yeah.
I had this thought, you know how every once in a while you're walking around and as somebody who's interested in words and writing, you just come up with similes?
Of course.
Here's something I wanted to run by you. It's not very related to this episode, but it is related a little bit to Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
Like, what if you came into a room and you were like, it smells like medical mysteries in here. Like, is medical mysteries a thing?
Medical
It
mysteries?
has a scent. It smells like something that would stymie Dr. House.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I can, like, when you say that, like, I can picture opening up the Yankee Candle labeled medical mysteries. And
Yeah.
and what would initially hit me, but I don't know what the constituent parts of medical mysteries would be.
It's like a biohazard symbol and then like Dr. House shrugging.
Um,
And then like putting a stethoscope up to a question mark.
the thing is, Gary, none of those are smells. I was thinking like antiseptic. I was thinking formaldehyde. I was
Hugh Laurie
thinking
has a smell.
blood. But does Hugh Laurie's shrug have a smell? Does he release some glands when he shrugs?
Yeah. Well, his armpits are briefly exposed.
Okay.
You know, so maybe there's additional scent.
Yeah. House
This
shrugged.
episode first aired on September 11th, 2004, that fateful day.
Yeah. And this is, like you said, the first of the Scooby-Doo parody episodes. It was going to happen, especially when you have one of your main characters dressed up like Freddy, at least for the first several seasons. This ticks off a couple of boxes. They wanted to be on the high seas, on a boat that did not need to be a hydrofoil, but they made it a hydrofoil because of Johnny Quest. That wanted to do the rubber mask villain plot.
Yeah. Yeah. And they do it. This is a weird episode. This is like a fan favorite, but the bigwigs didn't like it.
At first, at the very least.
Yeah. They talk a lot about in the art book about how you start off with all these ideas. It's very effortless in the beginning. And then at some point that catches up to you and you hit this kind of wall where, they go back and forth between writing and directing. They're already working in pre-production for the actual animation and stuff. And they're just burned out. And Mike Lazo, who is their guy at Adult Swim, was just like, this is the worst thing. This is the least funny thing that we've ever had submitted. This is total drag ass.
Yeah.
No good.
And this was a huge blow to Doc Hammer's confidence, because he wrote it. He wouldn't have submitted it if he didn't think it was good. And Jackson Public went in and did like a rewrite on it, mostly cutting some of Rusty's monologues in this. Rusty is doing kind of a captain's log kind of thing as he's walking on the floor of the sea. We'll get to that. There's some good lines there, but I could see it going on. It'd being pretty rough having one character talking like that for a long time.
Sure.
But even with all that effort, the best that it got in pre-production was they can't all be winners. This thing needs to get going. So slap it on the ass, kick it out the door, and forget about it.
It's actually a very good episode, though.
Oh, I love it.
Mike Lazo is a fool. This is one of the better season 1 episodes.
So memorable.
Also,
yeah,
really memorable, very quotable. The commentary also has a lot of digressions, including my favorite metaphor for taking a shit.
I forget what they say.
Well, they're talking about ice cream having to shit, and one of it, Doc Hammer says, ice cream makes you drop one. So drop one is good. But then Doc Hammer has to go take a shit, and when he comes back, he said it was so horrible, it's like his anus broke up with him. And I've been trying to work that into my, my daily, my ways to describe a particularly troublesome
a particularly troublesome push.
Yeah. like a bad shove. So it's a real fun commentary, even though they do call things gay ass a lot.
Yeah. Still in the still in the broy days.
Yeah. Early 2000s. This was a big episode for me because the cold open of this is This Is Made for You, Gary Butterfield.
It is.
One of those things, because it starts off with a recreation of Space Oddity, the beginning of that, and then Ashes to Ashes, the David Bowie story of Major Tom in the Bermuda Triangle in 1969.
Yes.
And this is chock full of references and dialogue from those songs.
I mean, like the dialogue pretty much eventually partway through this just becomes the lyrics to this stuff, which is really funny, again, because we talk about how appealing it is that they mix fiction and reality. That this is what they were talking about. This is what Bowie was talking about when he wrote about this. Which Bowie was it? We don't know. We're going to have to find out.
This is, they talk about how they were very happy they didn't specifically draw this as Bowie, since they were going to use Bowie later.
Yes.
There are pictures of Major Tom. You do get to see him briefly in this. But this is chock full.
Yeah.
The craft is called the TVC-15, which is a song from the very weird album Station to Station. They talk about the Action Man, which is just a weird Bowie line. Just like, got a message for the Action Man. That doesn't mean anything.
Nope.
Bowie's just coked out of his fucking mind, and it's just phrases.
Yes.
Like that's Bowie. But here we're introduced to the Action Man as a character who ends up being one of my favorite support characters of this.
Oh, he's so good. Like his arc of being just a complete psychopath and then mellowing out is really good.
Yep. Yeah. All of the original Team Venture who were introduced here, I love.
Yes.
This is basically, based on Doc Savage here. So we have the Action Man, who is kind of like a G.I. Joe or like a Captain America.
Yeah.
The shootist.
he shoots. His whole thing is that he shoots guns. He doesn't really care what he shoots. It's just good that he is shooting. My favorite among these is Colonel Gentleman.
Colonel Gentleman is great.
Colonel Gentleman, especially when he gets some focus later on. Colonel Gentleman kind of being like a
list of toys that Colonel Gentleman wishes he had when he was a kid.
But Colonel Gentleman is like he's like a Sean Connery James Bond if there was just more focus. So if you consider James Bond to be violence, sex, and drinking, just take as much drinking and sex as you can and put it over there. He is. I mean, I use this word lovingly. He is a fucking degenerate.
It's a big kind of Alan Quartermain. Kind of vibes here too. And then we have Kano, who is vaguely based on Odd Job, and then the naming convention and outfit is named on the Green Hornets sidekick, Kato.
Yeah,
Kano also becomes a fairly major character. We don't know it yet, but it is short for Volcano. That is why he is called that.
Yeah, he's silent up until he is not, in a very funny way.
Yes. Yeah. So they're all, trying to guide the TVC-15 back to Earth as Rusty gets up. He's asking his dad what's going on, but it's no time for Rusty. And then they start doing the dialogue from the song, and it's just incredible, like the way they do the reveals here. Where Tom's like, I have a message for the Action Man. I'm here, Tom. Pops up, and then my favorite delivery in this whole thing is when thinks he's gonna die. Where he goes, "Tell my wife I love her very much. She knows." The Doc scene here, it's so fucking good. Here.
Yeah. This, I mean, so to put this kind of in perspective, this was really my first exposure to a lot of this Bowie stuff. I was not, when this came out, 2004, I would have been a sophomore in high school, not necessarily listening to music from that era. Like maybe I was like vaguely aware.
It was all Raffi and
It was
Raffi and
it was where Raffi does the Wiggles. Animals. The Wiggles do Raffi. Yeah. They did like a whole crossover kind of thing. It was a split EP. Yeah. Kind of hard to get a hold of. I have to go to Australia to get it. No, I just I wasn't listening to David Bowie stuff at this time, so none of this made any sense to me. And once I started listening to Bowie later in high school, I was like, oh, that's why they were talking weird in that. This is exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, and for me, as just like a gigantic Bowie fan, I was just like just blissing out,
Just glowing.
During this. Yeah, just literally losing my mind. This is setting the kind of stage here for the idea that Rusty remembers that the ship went down from when he was a kid and came up, and that there was never scavenged. So he's going to try to harvest some super science out of it.
Literally just picking over the remains of his dad's dead company. So good.
And they do a little wipe from the heroic father in this tragedy to current day, where Hank is taking pictures of his dad on the deck. But he's wearing he's like, it's bunching up in his butt. The thing. It's because it's terry cloth.
They have a fascination with the terry cloth of like deckwear from Goldfinger.
It acts like a towel.
Brock isn't convinced that this is a really good idea, pretty much because Rusty is overconfident about this. Brock understands, being a military man, like, night diving, pretty difficult, probably don't want to do that the first time going down that far, but Rusty, just whatever, I've got this walking robot dive suit, this will be fine.
Yes. My dad never harvested this out of respect for the dead.
No,
respect
out
for
of
the
respect
dead.
for the dead. Big quotes around that.
But he's taking this as this hero moment. Like, he's having fun during this whole thing.
Oh yeah.
Really, really cute. I love him doing these like Jacques Cousteau narrations,
describing the sea as 800 feet of black liquid funeral.
Cold and balming fluid. I don't know why he's having the boys do everything.
Neither
like
do
the
I.
boys are like his team.
Well, I mean,
for this,
he never hires any. Like, he only ever hires day laborers and interns.
Yeah, that's true.
If he can
That
get away,
is cheap.
Yeah, no. If he's got these expendable kids, might as well have him do stuff. It doesn't matter if it fucks you up.
He's attaching to his robot the Metasonic locator, which has vibrations so extra special they vibrate time. The line is really good. So extra special. It's a really good, real good verb for that. But that's the idea. Is that's gonna be our kind of B plot. During this is Rusty on the bottom of the ocean and this robot monologuing.
Yes. Hank is lowering Rusty into the water on his crane, and Brock is holding the line, trying to keep it stable. When Hank screws up, the robot drops, and the line is pulled through Brock's hand so quickly that it scrapes his palms off. That fires mirror neurons, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he spends
so that's going to kind of make Brock in rough shape.
Yeah, he spends the entire episode kind of unable to use his hands, which also keeps him from smoking for the entire episode up until the end. That was actually a mandate down from Adult Swim corporate. Like, we can't have this cartoon where somebody is smoking all the time. So Constantly. They acquiesced. Yeah.
Yeah. So they drop Rusty. He bumps his head. He's down and as they have him down there underwater, Brock spots a ghost ship.
Yeah, I see something that doesn't make any sense. So, it's like a ghost, like pirate ship. It's like a schooner. So it's maybe a sloop. I don't know. I've forgotten everything about uncharted waters.
Since the uncharted waters. Yeah, tall ships for stepdads magazine. So while this is happening, Hank gets up and has to use the bathroom. Dean tells him to do it off the heliport. It makes an awesome arc. When Hank is doing it, he's making like laser noises and stuff. I have a note here. Do you think that pretending that your pee is a weapon is universal? Because I used to do it as well.
Yeah.
This is like pretty cool. Like, it's basically that thing where you fill up the mouth of the clown. But you could do it all the time.
It's a toilet clown though. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like fill it up. I'm honored to accept your waste. Like the idea of it being a weapon. I remember having a friend who used to, when he would poop, this is gross, everybody. He would leave it in the bowl, so when later he could pee, he could like pretend like he was like blasting like asteroids or something. And I was like, that's fucking disgusting.
Yeah,
and it
that's
turned
pretty
my
bad.
stomach when he told me. But then also when I was outside and I was peeing, if I see like a mushroom or something, I'm like, oh, you want some too, huh? And just kind of give the mushroom a face full.
Yeah. And it just you're pretending you're a fireman, saving people. Yeah.
Yeah, saving people with your urine. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what happens when, you know, little boys grow up with what is effectively a toy on the front of them.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. So the pirates are on their way.
Yeah.
You know?
And Hank is pretty freaked out. Hank has been under the impression that pirates don't exist. He sees them and he immediately draws the conclusion that everything he's been told doesn't exist is real. So Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny are.
Isn't there that guy on Giant Bomb who didn't know pirates existed?
Oh, I think
there's that guy who's like the famous idiot from that show who doesn't know anything.
That everybody loves. I forget his name. Yeah, he got married like in a Taco Bell or something like that.
Yeah.
And they like he cooked eggs and he said, you know, like, how do you guys deal with the whites being egg whites? And he's talking about the shell. It's hard
and
to
he's
know
like,
how
what's
much
a union? You know, that guy.
What's a union?
I never heard of a union. You know, before. It's that guy. And it was like, I think that there was a thing where he didn't know the pirates were real either. And it's like, man, if you're walking around dropping Hank Venture, like, non-ironically, that's a rough.
It's probably a bit of a moment for reflection.
Wake up call.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that guy's name. Let's see. We've got Jeff, Brad, Ben, Jason, Jan.
Dan.
Maybe Dan.
It's Dan.
Maybe Dan.
Dan. People who know this are freaking out.
Right.
Sorry.
Sorry.
You know.
But
oh well.
But I love this exchange. Brock's like, Hank, nobody ever said pirates don't exist. And Hank says, then you agree with me that this is impossible.
Yeah, it's good logic.
Just his epistemic crisis that he's having on seeing a glowing pirate ship.
A ghost pirate shows up and wakes up Dean. This ghost pirate looks great, and it looks very explicitly Scooby-Doo.
Yes.
But Brock immediately just walks up and knocks him out with a bottle. You know, he stops glowing. And these pirates, you know, the joke here is basically that the pirates are not real. They're just like skating by on scaring people.
Yeah.
Brock stops beating up the ghost pirate when the pirate captain pops up and he's holding Dean hostage. Weirdly enough, pirate captain turns out to be a long running recurring character in this show.
Does he ever get a name?
I think he's just pirate captain.
Yeah. Even when he's
just a fun voice.
Yep, just a fun Jackson Public voice. He's a fun character too. Like, well, just immediately when the game is off, and just like how offended he is that Brock broke the rules with him.
Yeah. That's real fun. The ghost pirate rules.
Yeah,
real good.
But like he's holding Dean hostage with a blunderbuss, which turns out to be from Toys R Us. All this stuff is either cardboard or from Toys R Us. And he finds out that the guy that Brock hit with the bottle is dead. Like, oh, was that really necessary?
Yeah. Yeah. And then I love, like, 6 beats too late, Dean thinking he's cracking the case.
This isn't a ghost.
Yeah, but this isn't a ghost, and tries to pull it off. And nobody's impressed with this.
Well, pulling the mask off of his body, the body's head is turned all the way around.
Yeah. And he's like oblivious. Extremely good child trauma.
Yeah.
So Brock ends up going to the brig. The captain keeps Dean hostage, and Hank is still AWOL.
Yes.
The other pirates come up. All the pirates are from Massachusetts for some reason.
Oh yeah.
Coming there. There's a fog guy and a sea monster projection guy, and they don't even get a chance to do their thing to scare them into stealing the boat.
It was our day to shine. We cut down to the to underwater. Rusty is pretty frustrated because he's not able to move as quickly as he would like to. He refers to walking around in the giant, or walking around on the robot like it's like walking around inside a giant fat kid. Which is a fun line. And like he's down there hoping that the Metasonic locator, by vibrating time, can pull back the curtain and reveal his dad's flying metal failure.
Yeah. Yep. So he attempts to turn up the locator, the extra special rays, but steps into the maw of a giant clam, which is terrifying. He's like, calls it like undersea I seem to have stepped in some undersea chewing gum.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Really scary.
Yeah. But his turning up the amplitude causes the nearby cockpit of the TVC-15 to glow. So he has awakened Major Tom.
Yes. Brock raises Hank on the radio here, and this is probably my favorite little bit from this episode. I really like the end of this episode as well. But this little bit where he's like, Hank, I need to be your hand, be my hands. Hank says something I can't remember, and Brock says, if there's ever a time in your life I need you to not be Hank, it's now. Which is so good. And then the way that Brock just slips into
Operator
military
mode.
advice mode.
Yeah.
Operator mode. Whatever you do, don't light a cigarette.
I don't
Sniper
smoke.
can see a hot cherry for miles. It's like it's a 13-year-old boy.
Yeah. I don't smoke. Good. Well, don't start.
Yeah, don't start now. Incredibly good. We cut over to the pirate captain talking to Dean, saying the ship has been mired in Sargasso, which is seaweed, for 10 years.
Yeah.
They've just been stuck there, and they've been doing piracy trying to get a ship, but just getting supplies.
Yeah, because nothing is shipped that way anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, they their big hauls were the Toys R Us shipment where they got a bunch of the pirate gear, the swords and blunderbusses and whatnot. And the other one was a big shipment of legs, eggs, pantyhose,
Yes.
which some of the guys are still wearing. Which I don't know, being caught out on the sea probably cuts down on the wind.
Yeah, I remember legs, eggs. My mom had legs, eggs. It was fun to play with the eggs afterwards. So,
man, pantyhose, like stockings, comfortable. Wearing, I used to wear them for theater and stuff. That's good. That's some good shit.
Hey, I got a pair of like yoga harem pants things that my girlfriend gave me that are incredibly comfortable.
Yeah.
Like I have no interest in wearing women's clothing where it's like torture devices.
Right.
I understand some people like who are interested in wearing women's clothing are into it for like the corsets and stuff like that. But like the comfort innovations.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Like those should be absolutely pangender. Like
universal.
Yoga pants. Fuck, man.
Yeah.
It's extremely comfortable. Culottes. So here we're getting introduced to Major Tom. Pops out of the water and start the pirate. And Major Tom is terrifying.
All he does is scream and point. Or not
He's
like
a
point,
great
like
monster.
reaches. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
he doesn't really do anything. He's very harmless, but he just yells.
And I could see why that would be like something that would make they even refer to this like it's really hard to sell how funny and how annoying it would be for this thing just to be hanging around screaming all the time. Like the fact that it doesn't do anything is the joke, but that also is the thing that would make this not live on the page when you don't have the amazing design of Major Tom and you don't have the vocal performance of just this keening wail that he does.
Incessant screaming. Really, really good.
Yeah. But he has made it onto the X2 and, because we've cried wolf on the Ghost Pirates, it's, people are not acting on it. Hank's about to sneak up on some of the pirates to close the distance, and Brock walks him through strangling a guy.
This is great. Like, put your hand on your throat.
Feel that feel that pipe.
Feel that pipe. That's that's your handle. The other side's the button. Pull the handle, push the button. Like it's so fucking scary.
Well, and then Brock says, "All right," and then you want to twist her head until you hear a snap. And Hank immediately deduces, do I need to do that if they're knocked out? I don't want to kill them. So they compromise. Hank will just tie them up. But
I love how made for murder Brock is. Like after the last episode, where it's like his greatest fantasy was being forgiven for his original sin and then indulging in it. Exclusively. Like this is so natural to him. Like a man made for killing.
like a fish to water.
Like a fish to water. Underwater, Rusty is stuck. He's puked in terror, and the warm vomit that kept the cold at bay is now hardened into a sticky shell.
Thankfully, the stench is faded.
Disgusting.
Yuck.
Yeah, so disgusting. Dean, with the captain, mentions Brock, his dad's bodyguard, and the pirate's like, "Well, your dad doesn't need a bodyguard."
Yeah, look at him.
And Dean attempts to lie. He's not very good at it because he's Dean.
All he had to do is say nothing.
Yeah.
It's very good. So, the two pirates go to Brock to get the key to the X2, so the pirates can get out of here. They're stuck for 10 years. That's pretty bad. Brock says, "All right, well, it's up my ass. You're going to have to reach up there." This is a scene that was added in the second draft, and this is what made it acceptable to Adult Swim. What ends up happening here is one of the pirates cavity searches Brock, reaches up his butt. Brock clenches down and swings one of the pirates around by his ass to knock out and kill the other pirate.
Yes,
it's a real distinctive moment.
It's my favorite line in this is, he's like, he gets a cigarette, and he's like, before he gets a cigarette, he's like, where's the key? He goes, "It's up my ass," and the two pirates are talking. One of them's like, "Yo, go get it," and the other one says, "What if he's lying?" And then the first one goes, "If he's telling the truth, that'd be better." I love that so much. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
And as the search is going on, Brock asks the guy for a cigarette. Oh, it might help me relax. And the guy doing the search says, "Do it, give it to him."
Yeah, we don't give people cigarettes. We take them. Of course, Brock kills him because he's a man made for murder. Rusty's legs of the robot have exploded.
Yes.
Clams don't like the taste of exploding robot legs. So he's crawling. He's lost the locator, and he's just crawling towards the wreckage of the TVC-15.
Right.
Ding, 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 until he hits it.
Yes. Brock, now free, has decided to radio the pirate captain saying, "Hey, I'm coming for you." The captain is hot-wired the hydrofoil and starts driving off because he's terrified. Brock's over on the pirate ship. Rusty is giving his grandiose speech, having reached the TVC-15, about how having succeeded where his father failed. Which is just a great mischaracterization of what's happening here.
Yeah, that's not even close.
Yeah, and the X2 driving away yanks the line, pulls him away, and he gets caught in a rock, gets knocked out, holding the X2 still. It's it's acting like an anchor.
Yes. Yeah. So the captain goes to cut that anchor loose, this second anchor, and sees that Hank has tied up the entire crew. Like, Hank fucking did it.
Yeah.
Choked out all these dudes, which is, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Tied them up with a bow, which is just like, what kind of bodyguard? Really, really good. Mm-hmm. But then they spot Hank being menaced by Major Tom, the screaming ghost skeleton. They tell the captain to use his blunderbuss. He's like, "It's just a toy." Like, he wasn't holding Dean at gunpoint. The captain tries to take out Major Tom. He's like, "You're an adult." Dean at one point's like, "You're a grown up. Do something." But it just doesn't work.
No.
Like, he can't, nothing happens. Like, Major Tom does not care.
Like he tries hitting him, doesn't work. He tries talking to him, doesn't respond. Ghost pirates, I guess I deserve this. You live by the ghost, you die by the ghost.
Yeah.
But it's not a problem. Like, Hank, is talking on the communicator. Oh, it doesn't seem to want to do anything except scream, which is true.
Yeah. Yeah. I love now that we've done that last episode where Doc Hammer mentioned in his episodes, he eventually just goes, "Time to end the episode." Now I just keep seeing those moments.
Yep.
Because in this one, they just call Dr. Orpheus and do it.
Like,
it just like, time to end. We told the story. It's over.
We like, they know the person who can fix this. So just get it here. I love this line, because the shock of being yanked away and rammed against some rocks has caused the seal on the diving robot to break. Rusty is crawling along, it's slowly filling with water. It says, "All I can do now is wait for death's warm hand to finish the job that fate began at my uneventful puberty."
Yeah.
Fuck, that's a good line.
Yeah.
Uneventful
Really
puberty.
Yeah, it's a very good line. Oh man. So Hank calls Dr. Orpheus, who is magically cooking frittatas for Pumpkin. And he's skeptical, you know, but he also believes them because he's a decent man. You know, he's like, are you sure this isn't just a guy in a rubber mask? And Hank's like, no, you know.
we check that. I love that as the first line. It's like when you know, you call for IT, like, is it plugged in? Yeah, okay,
exactly.
Yes, it's plugged in. All right.
These boys. So Orpheus kind of learns about this and finds out that the soul of Major Tom is not at peace because of his wife. So they call his wife here, and this is wonderful.
Yep.
Where he's like, you know, she's married, you know, and she's like, you know, your husband is like, no, he's here, you know, and it's like, no, your other husband, ma'am. And when he puts her on the phone, she's like, Tom, it's your wife, sweetie. You're dead now.
Time to go.
It's time to go. It's so incredibly good.
Yeah.
And then the action man takes the phone. And it's just like, Tom, it's Rodney. Like, it's so good.
Like, and I love the way that Major Tom reacts to just start screaming more. Like,
yeah,
screaming louder.
Really upset.
Yeah,
it's so sad.
He was screaming because he was dead or because he was ghost or for inscrutable undead reasons. But now he's actually screaming because he has a reason to scream. His friend, his coworker swooped in on his wife.
Yep. Yeah, he has no idea how much time has passed.
Right.
Extremely sad. Luckily, Brock had burned down the pirate ship. He swims away from it. That famous kind of shot of someone like holding a knife in their teeth, swimming away from a burning pirate ship. Jumps on the deck and just kills the skeleton. Beats the shit out of it.
And then throws it overboard.
There's big, him just beating the shit out of a ghost skeleton has big Hellboy energy to me.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like Hellboy's constantly just like, what if I fought the ghost?
Uh-huh.
You know?
Everybody forgets you can fight the ghost.
Yeah, just punch it. It's made of skeleton.
Yeah.
You know?
It doesn't matter if it's screaming. Like, it's not a banshee, dude.
Yeah, it's not hurting you. It's not a revenant, banshee, poltergeist, specter, ghost, or any of the various other like things.
Oh, yeah. So the pirate's like, oh, well, we could have done that. Well, you tried. You couldn't have. And the episode ends. We've got Rusty, you know, down on the ocean floor, and this robot that is ridiculously full of water. His like, it's just his lips and nose that are above the water line in this tiny little sliver of air, you know, kind of talking about like, oh, you know, if you're listening, boys. Like if you came down here to, you know, to get rich off of your dad's Metasonic locator and your granddad's flying saucer. I just like it, just picture like generation after generation. This is how they all die. It's right here in the stretch.
It's like a big pile of corpses investigating other corpses in Hitman.
Uh-huh. There's a problem with the toilet.
Yeah, there's a problem with the Metasonic locator. There's a problem with the Metasonic locator.
Yeah. And Rusty's about to say, you know, if you're listening to this, I want you both to know that I love you. That's how that was going to end. But before he can say I love you, the glowing skull falls and lands right on the glass, frightening him. And then we cut to credits.
Yeah. Yep. He screams. The post credits, you know, they fish him out of the brink. The ghost pirate captain asked Brock for a ride home. He kind of burned our ship and killed Steve. You know?
Steve was the only one who could have even got him home. You know.
Yep. And then just the boys say go Team Venture, and they just shrug and say I don't know. They do that kind of a perfunctory go Team Venture and perfunctory post credits.
Yeah, I love this post credits because just acknowledging what happens to, you know, like just the fact that there is an aftermath to something like this. We're like, you know, just like, hey, can we strike a deal? Like, this is really awkward to ask, but
the scene is really cute too because he's like, I'm sorry, and then Dean's like, no, say it like we practiced. It's very cute. Yeah. Good episode for the boys. Like Duck Hammer has a great handle on the boys. And just like a fun episode. Like this is a weird like fan favorite, considered to be one of the better episodes of season 1, I think.
Rightly so.
Like not the best by any means, but still very good. I think that I like Eeny Meeny Miny Magic a little bit more. But this episode, the beginning and end of this, the beginning, anything with Major Tom, I think is pretty incredible.
No, it's a bummer that they just kind of forget that Major Tom exists. I think he only ever shows up like once later as an Easter egg. Like he's kind of cut out of the original Team Venture to a certain degree. But like you know, I was thinking about this, especially like as I finished up my Grand Series rewatch. Like, the thing that is amazing about this series that a lot of other cartoons kind of don't really do is that, like, Venture Brothers never puts away its toys to a degree.
Yeah.
You know, like the fact that we have what by all rights should just be a joke character, the pirate captain who just talks like a pirate, but like he comes back and is reused and recharacterized throughout the entire series, and like actually finds like a role and a home in this and gets like a further characterization. Like, that is something that should never have been more than one dimensional, but they just like kept on going back to it, A, because it was funny to have the pirate captain doing something, but B, because there were things that he could do. You know?
Yeah.
And just the fact that they never put away their toys is such like that is a good trick. It is Venture's trick, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing too is that they think, I think that they tend to think of like what is fun for us, you know? And it's like, oh, we think this voice is real fun.
Yes.
You know, so this character's not going anywhere. We'd like to bring him back. He's a blast. Yeah. You know, and that's a great reason. You know, to keep a character. Like, I think that's like that fun comes through.
Yes.
You know, and this character just being like somebody they wanted to bring back and succeeded. You know, the Venture Brothers doesn't really constrict ever. It just expands. It's like The Wire in that way. And that's something I really love about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And it, you know, the sea captain ends up being one of the major forces of the kind of the Bizarro teacher. You know, like, I love that entire crew.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's very fun to me. Spider Skull Island.
Oh man,
So,
I can't wait to talk about the super weird introduction to JJ, to Jonas Jr. Just because his voice is weird. They don't have it settled yet.
Good.
Yeah.
Next week, we're going to be talking about another just like amazing episode from season 1. And we have another guest. We're going to be talking about Ice Station Impossible with Days of Future Cast's Jeremy Greer.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of
talk
fun.
About the Fantastic Four pastiche in here. And that episode is also extremely good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really love it.
Some of our first real time with Billy Quizboy and Pete White.
Yeah. And Professor, you know, last episode, Gwen was mentioning that she was trying to find the moment in which the series like broke wide open, you know, into full kind of surreality, and like introducing the Fantastic Four is a pretty good moment for that. Like, yes, there is magic and stuff in the last episode, but now there's straight up, you know, shitty superheroes. I'm gonna that's gonna be a fun episode too, because like there's so many weird comparisons between that and Ruins, which is a shitty Warren Ellis comic.
Okay.
From the late 90s. That,
I mean,
yeah.
Like, what's the log line on Ruins? Is it just like, what if these superpowers had realistic downsides to them, or?
Yes.
Okay.
But for the entire like Marvel universe, basically.
Okay.
It's like two characters going through and being like, yeah, here's where the Hulk died of cancer from all that radiation. And like, here's you remember those 4 astronauts who came back bombarded with cosmic rays, and they all got these basically specific kinds of cancer. Like, it's all
cancer.
Cancer. Yeah,
because it's all like radiation and chemicals. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, if a radioactive spider bites you, you know, the radioactive is the operative part of that, not the spider.
Yeah.
Yeah. But man. Yeah, that's gonna be a fun episode.
It will. Looking forward to it. Thank you to everybody who has left a rating or review on Apple Podcasts. We greatly appreciate you taking the time to do that.
Yeah. You can also support us and the show and get episodes a week early by going to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. Just $3 gets you episodes early. For that. It also gives you access to the Slack, where you can come discuss the Venture Brothers and many things. Basically anything.
Yeah, we have channels for all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. I think that's probably about it, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So until next time,
go Team Venture.